This thing is not live. There we go. Now we're working. I'll tell you what. Helps if I hook up the old camera. There we go. What's going on, everybody? I hope everybody's having a fantastic whatever day you're watching this. Having some camera issues, so we're having to do this old school, running it off the computer's camera. So it may look a bit like it's being filmed with a beer can, but hey, it's what we got to work with, so that's what we're rolling with. If you're new to the channel, thank you so much for stopping by. This channel is pretty much not much more than just a background noise generator anyway, so it doesn't matter what the image looks like. Probably would be better looking if I turned it off, but the reality is that this is mainly background noise, motorcycle related, sometimes car related. You never really know what's going to be, you never really know what's going to come across on this channel sometimes. So in saying all of that, the main chat for tonight is, will middleweight sport bikes make a comeback ever? Maybe. One of the things that we're waiting on is, EICMA, because it looks like Suzuki may be dropping a little bit of knowledge on us as far as what their plans are moving into the following years. You see, the thing is that the only middleweight sport bike that exists realistically from a global point of view is the 636. And unfortunately, that's what we're up against. We've only got one bike in that class, but it looks like EICMA may be bringing us a little bit of news. At least that's the rumor. So for 2026, nothing, but that's okay. It looks like 2027 may be bringing possibly a Euro 5 compliant middleweight from Suzuki. We're gonna have to wait to find out, but pins and needles, everybody. EICMA is in less than 2 months. So can y'all wait? I can't, especially with the release of the GSXR 1000. That's something that's awesome, because now we've got a Euro 5 leader bike, and with the Euro 5 leader bike, the more the merrier, but we've got to have more of that coming from the Japanese side for sure. So in saying all that, let me jump into you guys real quick. Oh, by the way, if you are new, thanks for stopping by. This is an opportunity for me to interact directly with you through the chat. So diving in, Sam saying emissions, technical service bulletins are coming for what? DM is in. Got the ball guy with the flex and the specs. My man. So the tires are working very nicely, by the way, on the 636. I'll tell you one thing, even if you run them at 42.38, they work really well. So tomorrow, assuming it doesn't rain anymore, it just got through raining, I'm going to be on the 636 and on the 1000 tomorrow, because here pretty soon I got to start filleting those bikes, pulling computers out, and I've also got to start putting work into them, because we've got exhausts coming potentially in about a week and a half for the 1000, and in about 2.5 or 3 weeks for the 636. So we shall see. I'm looking forward to it though. And the 636 is back on my, it's off of the shit list, I guess is the best way to put it. But yes, the contributions are at work, and I dropped the latest update video on that bike today. So thank you very much, my friend. Mr. Mize asking, bro, do you think jumping from an R3 to a Gixxer 750 is too much power jump, or is it still approachable? Oh man, GSXR 750 is very approachable. Let me tell you one of the things about the 750 that you might find a little bit surprising once you get a chance to ride it. The GSXR 750 is a weird bike in the fact that it has a little bit more torque than a 600. Certainly has more horsepower, but the gearing in the transmission is a lot more like a leader bike. So when you go to crack that thing at wide open throttle, it's not like a 636, where a 636 is real aggressive. The 750 really isn't. I mean, it'll go, don't get me wrong. It's still punchy and fast, and it does a bunch of cool stuff, but it does, because it doesn't have the crazy aggressive gearing of a 636 or even its smaller sibling, the GSXR 600, you'll find that even if you were to ask about a GSX-R 600, the feel, like the actual torque, when you go to roll into the throttle, the actual twist. I'm not talking about the torque as measured at the rear wheel by a dyno. I'm talking about the actual twisting force, two completely different measurements, is the same between the two bikes. It's just you experience it for less amount of time with the GSX-R 600. So look, the Gixxer 750 is always going to be a yes for me. Absolutely loving the idea of bringing another one of those into the garage. So we're still working on that. Fingers are crossed. Am optimistic. Let's see. Oh, Sam's talking about emissions. Oh, for diesels. Yeah, I don't know. Mom's in from Aruba saying looking good. What's up, y'all? They're hanging out at the donkey preserve or whatever it was earlier. So enjoy your vacation, guys. Mr. saying 636 action. Yes, it's coming quickly. Ryan saying, I'm waiting for the CF Moto 750 SS, or I'll get another 675 to replace the old Gixxer. See, Ryan is onto something here. CF Moto is collecting market share at an astonishing rate right now. The 675 is becoming more and more popular. The last time I was out with a couple of buddies of mine running the streets, we actually ran into a dude on one of the 675s. You're seeing them more and more on the street. Guys are flocking to those bikes because they represent a hell of a value for money. And I got to tell you, the thing with motorcycles, it's real easy to get lost in the sauce when you start talking about power output and weight and all this other rigmarole, the stuff, the gumbo, right? The problem is that it's a motorcycle. It's got an engine, clutch, gas, it brakes, it's got technology, and it feels fun to ride. Then that's a good bike, right? So again, CF Moto, we're talking about middleweights right now, 675 and 750 SS. Going off of the spec sheets is doing that motorcycle the absolute worst disservice that you could. Hell, the 750 SS, if you want to know what the 750 SS is going to be like to ride, look no further than a GSX S750. That bike is one of my favorite middleweight sport nakeds. Full disclosure, I come so close to buying practically every bike that I do riding reviews on. And if the bike makes sense for the channel, I will bring it home. The GSX S750 came within 48 hours of making it into the stable. I could have gotten that bike for a song, and the reason why it didn't make it is because it sold. That is a bike that is no longer made, and I've got to tell you, the world is a worse place for it. The GSX S750, along with the 750 SS from CF Moto, both very similar in weight, both very similar in power output, both very good motorcycles. And so, look, as that middleweight class starts to evolve, we've got super sports that are coming back into the fold potentially in 2027 with the GSX S family of middleweights. Now we could potentially be seeing even more from CF Moto. You've got the other one, which always slips my mind. You've got another Chinese manufacturer that just got their bike homologated for World Super Sport. Dadgummit, hang on. Let me pull this up. 2025. I may actually have saved this. 2025 FIM Superstock homologated list. Okay, here we go. Hopefully this comes up. Come on. Here we go. Okay. So this is kind of crazy. We've got, bear with me, guys, just 1 second. Oh, come on. I gotta pull it up real quick. QJ Motor. That's who it is. So let me just go ahead and pull this. It's multiple pages. This is enough to pickle me too. Anyway, bear with me, guys. Let me scroll back over here. Let me get to, oh, there we go. All right, check this, guys. So you've got QJ Motor up here at the top of the page that just got homologated. And by the way, these are an 8-year homologation. So whenever a motorcycle company gets a motorcycle approved for competition, it's approved for 8 years the way that it sits. So anyway, you've got that. But look at this down here. You talk about hair lipping the hell out of me. Daytona 675R from Triumph. Are you kidding me? This bike has got, what, another 4 years worth of homologation, re-homologated in 22, and Triumph can't release that thing. I don't know where that bike's going, by the way. I don't know how they got it homologated if they're not selling any of them. Anyway, yeah, QJ Motor just got one of the bikes in. Let me pull this up. Bear with me, guys. I'm pulling it up right now so we can take a look at this thing. Because this is another bike. Again, I mean, the Chinese companies are... bear with me, guys. Come on now. Come on, models. Where y'all at? There we go. Bear with me, guys. Having some internet problems over here. Well, it ain't that one. We're going to get to the bottom of this. God dang it. This thing is driving me nuts. I don't know if you guys can see me from a blank page right now. All right. Getting back to it. Here we go. God dang it. Trying to pull this thing up for you guys. This thing's giving me the red ass. Okay, I think this is it. I want you guys to at least be able to see this thing. There we go. Yeah, the 800RR, I think. Is that the one that we were just looking at? Yeah, 800RR. Okay, take a look at this thing, guys. If it'll ever pull up. All right. Well, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to share this tab with you guys, and it is just not working out that I wanted it to. Anyway, it's a good looking bike. No doubt about it. If we can ever get this thing pulled up here. All right, let's try that one last time. If not, we're going to bounce off this page. It's taking forever. Well, that ain't going to work. Anyway, check it out when you guys get a chance. Look, guys, they're not messing around, but we've got more. We do have more middleweight sport bikes coming. Again, QJ, you got CF Moto, you've got potentially the new GSXR coming in 27. Kawasaki is still making a bike, but the problem is that you've got other bikes like the CBR 600, which is not the same bike here in the States that it is overseas, but it looks like this class of bikes is starting to take off more. And I guess the main overarching point to this is that if you look in the class, I guess that's really more the point. So let's go back and look at that class again. Of the homologated bikes, there are a ton of the super sport, including the next gen bikes. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 different bikes. There are 20 different bikes on the list. And that includes all of the next gen super sport bikes. So again, I mean, if the class is coming back into favor and you've got new manufacturers going to be jumping in the middle of it, obviously that means more investment. means we're going to start to see a lot of these Chinese bikes hitting the streets. And I'm telling you, they're going to be a lot better than a lot of folks tend to think that they're going to be. I want to try to at least get one of those QJs up, because man, they are surprisingly good looking bikes, but unfortunately their website is real jinky. This thing would stop acting like this. I'm freaking fixated now on bringing this to you guys. No, there we go. Yeah, what a weird. So let me just show you this one here. You know, if you're an MV Agusta fan, this is really going to piss you off. But go ahead and I'm going to share this other screen with you. I mean, it's a pretty blatant ripoff, right, of the Super Veloce. But I mean, look, these are the kind of bikes that they're bringing to you guys now. You know, this obviously retro cafe inspired bike. This is the 900 though. Let's see. Let me pull that. Oh, I just X'd out of it on accident. Well, the idea here. All right. So the idea, guys, is that there are new manufacturers coming into the mix. You got a lot of really cool bikes, and get ready because a lot of them are Chinese. Okay, enough of that. Let's get to it. Let's check in with you guys. Ryan's saying, talking about the 750 SS, yes, which is very similar to that QJ, let's say. Ryan's saying he's called the professor for a reason. Yes, sir. Thank you. Mr. B said, I like the 26 GSXR 750 black one. It's a good one. Mr. B saying, hello, Dana. Sam saying the new regulations get rid of the ridiculous stuff when the emission system fails or malfunctions. Yeah, the diesel stuff always gets hammered, but it's time that stuff just they need to quit. Diesel's not a boogeyman. It's actually a lot better now than it ever was. Ryan saying, man, what I've been reading about the 750 SS is going to give the Gixxer a run for the money, even underpowered because of the price. Well, here's the problem. So what's weird about the 750 class of bike is that it never found a home outside of homologated racing except for Suzuki. And it's weird in that respect. The 750s are kind of strange, and I'm glad to see what CF is doing with this bike. They're not going after the Gixxer in terms of outright power. They're going after the Gixxer in terms of being a very rideable motorcycle that's going to be fun, kind of torquey, lower horsepower, yes, but in just the exact same way that the GSX-S has the it's got the big bore 750 motor in it. That thing is recammed and retuned for lower RPM, torque, and mid-range power, or to favor that more than top-end horsepower. That's what the 750 SS is going to do. And even though it's heavy and it's down on power, it doesn't matter. It's a 750cc engine that's going to be as torquey as the 750S from Suzuki in a bike that weighs, although not by much, less than the 750S. It's going to be a hell of a bike. And for the value that you get and the technology that you get and the market that they're targeting with that bike, which is the youth market, are you kidding me? I mean, that bike is going to run away with the field. Once that motorcycle starts to hit dealerships, I have a feeling they're going to have a hard time keeping them in stock, basically because they're going after the youth market in a way that the legacy brands simply are not. And this brings me to another point of this, with the GSXR middleweights potentially getting a Euro 5 plus designation in the next couple of years. Again, we're waiting on EICMA, but that could very well be the case. If that is the case, though, consider this. Who's going to buy it? The problem is motorcycles have just gotten obnoxiously expensive. And the GSXR 750, although it's a great motorcycle, you're paying about $2,500 for nostalgia for that bike. Because if you look at the rest of the field and you look how progress progresses, you know, I'm a big fan of the 750. I'm a big fan of the CBR 600. I'm a big fan of all of the legacy style middleweights. But the problem is just because I like them and I appreciate them, and those of us of a certain age and a certain beard color tend to have a big crush on those bikes. The problem is that our kids don't feel that way. And you start talking about the younger generation, and they're looking at the bike and they're getting a little bit confused. You know, they're going, damn, how can you sit there and tell me that the GSXR 600 is an awesome 600cc sport bike when it hasn't changed in 15 years? And realistically, it hadn't changed in about 20 years. You know, back in the day, and I mentioned this in my CBR 600 video, back in the day, the 600cc class of bikes, the middleweight super sports, and the GSXR 750, all of these bikes were the tip of the spear when it came to an actual, as close as the cutting edge of technology as you could get, whether it was the fueling, the suspension setup, the geometry, the chassis setup, the ability for that engine to rev, all of that stuff. It was the absolute top of the food chain when it came to that level of involvement. Even leader bikes didn't have the same type of, well, they had the same, but just not the same in terms of innovation and new models. Okay. So 600s, you would see a new 600. If you didn't see one every 4 or 5 years, that manufacturer was slacking, right? Well, fast forward to today where you've got motorcycles that are remaining unchanged for the last 15 to 20 years. And when the younger generation now sees bikes like the QJ or the CF Moto, and you go, oh man, dude, that looks like a pretty sweet bike. It's got the technology, it's got the connectivity, it's got the quick shifter, it's got all of these doodads, gazmos, and gadgets. Then now you start to wonder, well, why don't these other bikes have that technology? Why don't these other machines have the ABS, the rider modes, and all of that? This is what the newer generation is looking for in a motorcycle, whether we want to like it or not. So the way I see it is that if the GSXR family of middleweights is going to stay relevant into the foreseeable future, it's got to embrace technology once again. It's got to be on the forefront. And there's a lot of different ways that they could do this and not lose the personality, not lose the performance, not lose anything that makes that bike so good. You can build upon it. And I put a video out just simply saying, look, this, should it be discontinued, the 750, but here's how you can keep it from being discontinued. So, you know, to me, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense when you look at it from the point of view of moving forward. Yeah, you can't move forward when you keep looking over your shoulder. It's hard to drive forward if you keep looking in your rearview mirror. And I feel like that's what's happened. But then again, these manufacturers just have not wanted to neuter their machines to the point of being more, to the point of being boring, maybe? I don't know. To meet Euro 5 regulations, but Kawasaki's done it. And hey, let me tell you something. 636 is no joke. The 24 and up 636 with full exhaust, velocity stacks, and a tune is mollywhopping the older one. It makes the same torque as a fully tuned 636 with exhaust, but it makes way better horsepower when you put the velocity stacks on it. Same torque, way more horsepower. And if you do away with the velocity stacks, they're pretty rowdy if you don't run velocity stacks. They just don't rev nearly as high. So anyway, let me check back in with you guys. Da, 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 da. Oh, 500 or 600 singles. There's some 400 singles. 500 or 600 singles are tough because they get real buzzy. Oh, Ryan, CF Moto already has some aftermarket. So, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, aftermarket support is going to be there for very strong very soon. For music saying, I think the short gearing on the ZX6R would be fun for the streets where I live. Hard to get over 55 miles an hour, but super twisty. You would love it. The thing is, though, is that no matter what, even if you have aggressive or not aggressive gearing, the thing is that you'll end up in a gear that works, right? And you're not going to be up, down, up, 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 down, 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 up, 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 down like that with it. You typically, when you find the gear that's appropriate for your area that you're riding in, it's just like usually one or two gears. Like where we go riding, it's fourth and fifth, and occasionally top of six. But you get the idea. Mainly fourth and fifth gear out to red line. And the ZX6 though in town is real easy to ride. With the stock gearing, it's got real short gearing. First gear, second gear, you're already up and moving. And it is real punchy. The other thing I like about the ZX6, now that we're just talking about it, is it is not as restricted as the GSX-R 750. And so what you end up with is a bike that through the mid-range, you go cracking the throttle on that thing and you get full power with it, or very similar to full power, where the 750 doesn't feel like that. But the 750 is also a bit neutered with the gearing that it does have. It's geared a lot more like a leader bike than it is like a middleweight, to its detriment. But I say to its detriment only to then have to illustrate the point that it is more powerful than a 636, and it is more powerful than any of the 600s, obviously. And what you end up with, if you go too aggressive with the gearing on a 750, is you get a bike that gets real light in the nose at about 120 or 130 miles an hour. If you try to gear it like a 600, just ask me how I know. That was my old track setup. And although it's adorable to play around with it in that respect, it will get very lively once you start pouring the coal to it. In fact, it can be a bit more of a handful than a leader bike. Full exhaust, full tune, the whole bit. So yeah, just because it's a middleweight doesn't mean that it's not going to be spooky. Those middleweights, especially the very aggressively geared ones that are de-restricted, are definitely can be more of a handful than a leader bike. Oh, Sam saying there's not many big singles out there anymore. No, mainly for off-road. Yeah, and then Sam saying, yeah, unless you're looking for off-road stuff, correct. And you know what? They what is the name of it? XL? What is the thing? I want to ride one. You know, Honda still makes carbureted bikes for the street. Ryan saying another CF Moto another thing CF Moto has going for it. The bikes look awesome. I mean, there's 500 Vroom, which is awesome looking, real retro, but darn sexy. Yeah, look, here's the thing. I got to tell you, again, the CF Moto brand of bikes, it's kind of interesting. It had originally, right when they hit the shores, they got kind of a bad rap for initial quality. And I was watching this and I'm going, okay, wait a minute. CF Moto, you can't dog on CF Moto. Hell, they're part of the, what are they, part of the ownership of Husqvarna, KTM, Gas, all of that. I gotta say, I mean, they're all decent. You know, you can't, just because it comes out of China, you can't just automatically go, it's Chinese, man. The problem is that they're coming out to be pretty darn good. And don't worry about where they came from. Don't forget that all the Japanese motorcycles and car manufacturers that we've all grown to love and be all, you know, all of us considered to be the benchmark standard for reliability. There was a time where anything Japanese was considered trash in the United States. So yeah, that might be that might have been the case maybe 20 years ago with QJ or CF Moto, but let's not forget you have other companies like Bajaj and Hero that are Indian and Chinese, both respectively, that were making motorcycles for the domestic, or I should say the other manufacturers, one of them being our domestic, the Harley Davidson group, had Hero making their 350s for them. That's a Chinese manufacturer. For Music's asking, how did you like the 210 compared to, say, the XSR 900? Ooh, good question. Best naked for someone who prefers super sports. Get the 210. If it's in the budget, you're going to want the 210. It runs differently. But I will say this. The XSR 900 is not far behind it. And the XSR 900 is going to be a very fun bike at a fraction of the cost of that 210. Now, that's a 210 V4 that I rode. And wow, the torque that thing makes. But I got to tell you, the XSR 900 with the CP3 is not that far behind. And let's be honest, you get one of those bikes, and if you even want to take it so far as to put a tune on it, exhaust or whatever, that thing is going to be extremely entertaining for a very long time. Plus, you've probably got better dealer support in your area for Yamaha than you do for Aprilia. But either way you go, can't go wrong with it. Oh, Ryan saying, yeah, the Husqvarna group, exactly. And then For Music saying, Bajaj made my Vitpillen 401, and I love that bike almost as much as the 750. I'm telling you guys. And Ryan's asking, did Bajaj make some bikes for Royal Enfield? No, they make all of the 400s for Triumph Motorcycle Company. So all of these Speed 400, Scram 400, the Thruxton 400, all of the 400s, the 400cc single that powers all of those, the frames, all of that are all Bajaj made. So, oh, and let's not forget too, that when Triumph partnered up with Bajaj for the Speed 400, the 400 series of motorcycles, within 6 months, if it's not 6 months, it was 8 months. One of the two, if memory serves me correctly. Anyway, that motorcycle with all of the pre-orders that did go through, by the way, that batch of bikes in aggregate, all of them, made up almost 50% of Triumph's total sales for that year. I want you to think about that for a minute. That bike was, and I was at the kickoff for that. They had one of the kickoff parties in Houston, Texas. And I was at that kickoff party, and I kid you not, I was talking to the rep, and we got to talking more about the business side of how this was working. I said, well, how do the sales look so far globally? Because remember, that is a global thing, not just in the States. And that's when I learned that bike basically is the reason why Triumph is doing as well as it is today. Yeah, Sam, I don't know about the larger singles. KTM may have one. DM saying, what would we be talking about if the R6 was still in play? Be talking about an R6 already in my garage, my friend. Let me tell you something about the R6. So here's the crazy thing. When it comes to middleweights, the food chain kind of goes like this. It's a rock, paper, scissors game between R6, 636, and GSXR 750. And it works out like this. GSXR 750 makes the most outright power. The 636 makes the most out of any of the 600 series bikes, but it doesn't rev as high as the R6, which will buzz out to 16,000 RPM. So what ends up happening is you have GSXR 750, 636, and R6. When you go to roll race these bikes, if you set up an R6 with the right gearing, it's because it can spin to the sky. You can run more aggressive gearing, and it will absolutely keep up, or in some cases beat, a 636. And that's a bike that will keep up and sometimes beat a GSXR 750 But if the 750 is set up right, you can beat an R6 or a 636. It's kind of crazy how it works out. But the thing is that the R6 will always be, for me, the top of the food chain when we're talking about the middleweights. It is so hard to beat that bike in its old, the way that it was before. And I get it. There was the older 636 was like 131 horsepower, which in real terms is a lot more like the GSXR 750 being, it's 135, 140. But the new 636, even though it's rated lower, actually will make more power than that bike once you set it up and put it together the right way. But you know what's messed up? Okay, so if we weren't talking about the R6, what would we be talking about? The R9. And the problem with the R9 is that, and it's kind of weird too, because I had misspoke in one of my videos. When I meant to say R6, I said R9. And I said something to the effect of, you can't get your hands on the R6 anymore, but I said R9. But the R9, you can't get your hands on anymore anyway. The recall on the frames, I think, is being worked through right now. And so now Yamaha is just looking at 2026 as far as getting their act together to start producing R9s again. I know that because I tried to buy one. And the problem is that the dealership that I was working with, which is coincidentally the dealership I bought my 636 from, they were saying they weren't going to get any more in. And I said, okay, well, put my name on the list. If one shows up, let me know. I would like to get my hands on one of the R9s because I rode the XSR and it was such a good bike to ride. But here's the problem. And this is kind of a weird, like, it's like a double-headed problem to have. I want an R9 for the channel, but I also want the 636 for the channel. And I am a bit more of a four-cylinder guy at heart. But I'm also a Triumph guy at heart, and I really like triples. And to me, the R9 is the Daytona that Triumph didn't make, even though they homologated the 675 3 years ago through 2030, and it's a motorcycle they don't even make anymore. How do you homologate a bike that you don't sell? Like, where do you buy a 636? Or a 675? Sorry, I'm confused. I'm gonna have to dive into that at some other point, but. It is one of these things where, you know, I look at a bike and I go, man, what could I do with that bike? How much fun could I have with it? And the problem is I got the Daytona, my dad's bike, and it's a 955, roughly the same displacement as an R9. It's making roughly the same power as an R9. It is a triple. If I want to ride an R9, I can just go ride the Daytona. And I can tell you how that bike would perform against the 750. It doesn't rev as high, but it has better mid-range torque. That's it. And it's a true old school throwback bike. So for me, I got to go with the four-cylinder. Ford Music saying the younger generation does seem to care more about tech than horsepower. They really do. Oh, DM2. Hey, so the S22s are on the bike, and I am having more fun with that. I'm hoping to get that bike out tomorrow, and if I do, I'm going to get some video. My turn-in speed, when I'm addressing a corner, my initial tip-in speed is really nice on the 636 with those tires. Ryan's asking, with KTM, don't they have a 900 four-cylinder that CF Moto could get their hands on and make a nice 900cc bike to go against the R9 on a budget? Man, here's the thing. The problem is that they have the RCR, that it's a parallel twin 900 or 890 parallel twin that's supposed to make 130 horsepower, and it was going to go up against the R9. The issue with that bike is that it seems to be left in limbo, number one. And number two, probably the biggest issue, is that money, baby. That bike's going to be about 17 or 18,000 whole ass dollars. in a market that probably won't support it. So if they could do something along those lines, get a bike that somebody's actually going to want instead of putting all your eggs into the hyper naked class, I think they could possibly start making money again. Ryan's asking, did I cheat on Stubbs to get the 636? No, I didn't. Well, in a way, I had a kitchen pass to go over there. So locally, different dealers partner up with other dealerships with, you trade motorcycles and service and all other kinds of stuff. And although they're not affiliated, Wild West, which is where I got my 636, is they're friendly with each other. So it worked out pretty good. It worked out well. But that being said, everything else that I do is running through Stubbs. I just wanted a new Kawasaki, and Stubbs doesn't sell Kawasaki. Oh, and the 636, I forgot to tell you guys this. So the gray and blue bike that I did the riding review, I tried to buy that bike. Unfortunately, that bike sold the day before I asked for the number on that bike. So I tried to get that bike. And in fact, I saw that bike at Wild West when it was in to get its recall inspection knocked out. So yeah, that was kind of fun. But no, they work together. We're all one big happy family. For Music saying KTM, the RCR needs to come out. Yes, it does. Ryan saying, you see the 900, man, if Sea of Moto got its hands on it, oh yeah, the R9 will be in big trouble. The R9 will be, let me tell you something. Let me see if I can pull this stuff back up again, that QJ. This is something, I don't know if we're going to get this in the States. Let me see if this website's going to work for us again. Bear with me, guys, just a second. QJ's known more, I know, for their off-road stuff. This is what I would love for Stubbs to get. A brand I would love for Stubbs to get. Let me see if the 921 will pop up. It looks like it is. So here's a bike, all BSing aside. 130 horsepower, 93 Newton meters. Homologation, eMark E5 Plus. Guys, allow me to introduce you to the SRK 921 RR. And this is the bike that's going to be the biggest problem for all of us. All right. Take a look at this thing for just a second. Soak this thing in. QJ Motors is not playing around. Single-sided swing arm, just because. But you're looking at a motorcycle that the specifications are really no joke, boys. None whatsoever. Let's get these things pulled up here so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Let's talk about it. All right, 921 cc's. She's dropping basically 130 horsepower, 93 Newton meters. What's that, like 70 foot-pounds of torque? Look at the rest of it. 320 millimeter brakes. And you're going to say, oh, but it's 223 kilograms. Nobody cares. All right, weight doesn't matter when you're not paying this extra premium. Yeah, Ryan said a little higher than 70. I'm trying to do the math in my head real quick, and I'm failing. 100 is 75. But it's whatever it is, it ain't sucking. I can tell you that. It's not going to be shitty. And fuel capacity, 16 liters, not bad. But if you look at this thing, I mean, yeah, it as far as a design language, it ain't bad. And this is the kind of bike that if we start getting bikes like this from QJ into the United States, it's going to be really hard to vote against this thing. Again, nowadays, you cannot compare outright power numbers anymore. You can't say, well, the CBR 600 is faster than the 636, or the 636 is faster than a GSXR 600. Nobody cares. They're all so much in parity that they're all the same. Yeah, the 636 is the fastest of the 600s. Doesn't matter. They're all 420 pounds and they're all about 120 horsepower. Right? I mean, listen, it's like you're arguing over who's got the bigger B cup on this. It's all good. None of it's bad. So, these perky little bikes, I'm telling you, this is the type of bike that can, and it ain't going to come from Japan. This is the type of motorcycle that's going to bring the middleweight sport bike back into relevance. So, and then let's pull up CF Moto, because this is another bike. I'm telling you, bear with me just a second, guys. Oh man, what the hell did I just type in? Weird. CF Moto. Oh boy, this is all kinds of jacked up. All right, CF Moto USA. Here we go. We're going to go into motorcycles. And right now, okay, so we don't have, this is cool. We don't have the 750 just yet, but we do have the 675. And again, guys, we're talking about QJ here with the 921. I don't think we have, let me check and see if we even have North American pricing on this. I don't see any North American pricing. Yeah, and they're kind of, and they've got an SP version of it. There we go. I mean, dude, are you serious with me on this? I mean, if you see that bike, this is still the QJ. If you see this bike in a dealership, how do you not want to get on this thing and ride it? And again, it doesn't matter that it's Chinese. It doesn't matter where these things come from. They're all going to be really good. I'm just saying, man, that's a hell of a thing to look at. But don't take my word for it in this respect. Let's take a look at, I'll tell you what, let's take a look at the bike that is, really running away with it right now. Y'all say it all with me. 675 SS. You can get it for $8,000. And look at the technology suite that you get. And I love this. This is something that I love. Behold, 429 pounds of aluminum, electronics, and attitude. Fucking A, man. Get you some, right? Like, that is what I love to see about CF Moto. Are they bragging about it being light? Hell no, they're not. They're telling you you're getting all that you're paying for with this thing. Aluminum, electronics, and attitude. This thing's got all kinds of stuff. It's got the winglets. It's got the steering damper. It's got everything. And you're getting everything for what starts out at about $8,000. Like, I'm sorry. It's a hell of a neat looking bike to boot. Let's see what else we get in here. Aggressive, good looking stance. Yeah, it is. All right. And you can chime in and go, okay, well, it's only 95 horsepower. So what? 95 horsepower, it's a 100 horsepower bike. It'll get you around just fine. And it's going to be torquey. It's making 95 horsepower at 11,000 RPM. It's going to be a fun bike to ride. And by the way, that bike that everybody seems to love, the GSX 8R, this thing's got 15 more horsepower than that bike. So if you like the R, you're going to love this thing. And they're about the same weight. Actually, this is a little bit lighter. So it's a hell of a bike. And that is, I guess, the point that is so difficult sometimes to drive home. And it's one of the reasons why when I started doing ride reviews, one of the things that I really wanted to showcase is the fun of riding a motorcycle, to where it doesn't matter what I'm on. If you ever notice, I'm having a ball on whatever bike that I'm on. And it's because it's fun to be on a motorcycle. I think too many people take this stuff way too seriously. It's kind of funny to me. Man, CF Moto, man, QJ, man, it's bad. Like, guys, these are going to be the bikes that keep motorcycles relevant for the next 25 years. Like it or not, that's where this is heading. And so, you get all of this bike, basically 100 horsepower, 429 pounds of aluminum electronics and attitude, with all the electronics you could ever want, with all the styling and everything else. And by the way, it comes with a 2-year factory warranty. Look, I ain't trying to sell you a CF Moto. I know what everybody's saying, but these are hella good bikes, man. And for those that have ridden them, I haven't ridden one, but for those that have ridden them, all of them are saying they're awesome. So I don't know. I'm in a place with my journey in motorcycles where I know what I like. I have a ball. Every time I ride a motorcycle, I always have fun. Here's the specs for you guys. On that 675, basically just shy of 100 horsepower. Look, it's got the torque, almost 52 pound-feet of torque and 429 pounds, and that's wet weight. And look, it's not that far off the mark. I mean, a GSXR 600 is 416 pounds. The 750 is 420. And shit, the 636 is 426. So, or thereabouts anyway. Shit, it might be heavier than that. It might be 435. So now you're looking at a bike it's the same. It is the bike that you're looking for. Don't worry about the power. Power, if all you ever do is look at power and performance specs, you'll completely miss the point of the bike. And let me also go so far as to say this. I've ridden motorcycles where the spec sheet is incredibly impressive and the bike it's okay. The Tiger Sport 800 is a bike that falls right into that category. On paper, it looks like it's going to be a riot. In reality, not so much. Then I'll ride a bike like the GSX S750, the Suzuki. I'll ride that bike, and then you're reminded of just how fun a motorcycle can actually be. So the spec sheet, always not a good idea to try to go straight off of specs. All right, let me check back in with you guys. Ryan saying, if Honda builds a V3 Rebel, I'm a player. Don't care. True that. I'll be the first one to try to ride it too. Oh, Ryan saying the 675 SS wasn't that bad, but that was before they became hotcakes. Yeah, they're selling a bunch of them. All right, let me catch up with you guys. Let me slide up back over here. Skids is in. Oh, for music, yeah, RCR is going to be big money. Let's see. Ryan saying, dang, QJ's bringing some fire. Dude, QJ's bringing the freaking heat, boys. Yeah, QJ is and again, it just got, and I don't understand what the deal is with QJ's website. This is driving me bananas because I want to show you guys. Let me see if I can pull it up now. Maybe I'll be able to pull it up. Let's see. The recently homologated 800RR. And for whatever reason, that bike just is not pulling up. That's weird. But yeah, that is the homologated bike for the class, for Super Sport class, which means they're here to play. They're not joking around. And by the way, Here is, let me find this one real quick. You know, for you guys that are more into the 500s, you know, the smaller displacement class, you know, they've got a 500 RC. Anyway, this is going to turn into me just over here talking about QJs for the rest of the night, but there's a lot to take in. Anyway, I'll show you this one. They, a bike it's a 500cc. It's really more of a, like a, oh, what the hell they call it? Yeah, 51 horsepower. So an A2 bike really more than anything else. But again, I mean, you get into these things and you go, man, they just have all kinds of crazy looking bikes that, you know, we're going to end up getting these. I don't know what the deal is getting them now. You got the 600 RC. I don't know what the deal is with this. Let's take a look at that. Oh, that's a damn good looking bike. Ooh, shit. Okay, here's, you talk about starting to make a point here. 600 RC. Now this one would be a bit of a hard sell. But coming from QJ, I mean, I'm probably not going to be all that expensive. It's 600 cc's. I think it's 85 horsepower. I think. What was that spec looking like? 81 horsepower. It's 4-cylinder too. God, see, this is what I'm talking about. But bikes like this, these are the types of bikes that you're going to start seeing hitting the market. Not very much money, but this is where your first-time buyer is going to go. This is where your younger buyer is going to go. These motorcycles have the technology. They have all the gadgets and doodads that you're going to want, the connectivity and all of that. And they're going to look good, and they're not going to break the bank. Japanese manufacturers have got to figure out how to do this. And if they want to be a premium brand and keep selling as a premium brand, they're going to have to do something. Suzuki with your middleweights, which I'm hoping we hear about here in about a month and a half. But the rest of the field, Kawasaki, you're going to have to follow their lead on this. Because Kawasaki is the only one that's keeping that relevant. So there is that. But let me check back in with you guys. Yeah, Ryan saying, right on, you got to get in the saddle. You got to ride these things. And the thing is that the more bikes that I ride for riding reviews, the more that I realize I don't know anything about how a spec sheet is going to dictate how a bike rides. It doesn't. It gives you a general idea of the class that you're going to be in, but I'll tell you what, one of the most perfectly powered bikes that I've ever ridden. Well, there's two, but for the class, the V-Strom 800, that is a bike that I did not think that I was going to have as much fun on. But that thing was a riot with the 776 parallel twin at 80 horsepower and whatever the thing weighs. That bike is just the right amount of power for just that kind of motorcycle. And it's when you achieve that balance that it's a lot of fun. Then you get bikes like the GSX-S 1000 GX that I rode that I couldn't stop laughing when I was riding it on the back half of that ride because it was just so fun to ride, and that was a bike that felt a lot more powerful than the specification would ever have made you think that it would have been. Let's see. Oh, talking about the newer bikes. Yeah, the new ones coming from overseas, they are going to be hard to get a hold of. Ryan saying 1,000's a bit much. Yeah, thousands can be, I tell you what, a stock GSXR 1000, a stock CBR 1000, those two bikes stock in stock form are some of the friendliest, happiest. An R1 is the same way, and it sounds great too. Those three bikes in stock form are the most giddy, happy, silly motorcycles you could ever ride. They're not, they're extremely powerful. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they're not. They all make the same power, by the way, give or take. The GSXR has less intrusion from nannies than the other two bikes, but it doesn't really matter. They are the silliest, funnest, happiest bikes you can ever ride. They just happen to be very powerful and will accidentally put you over 140 or 150 miles an hour. Ryan saying, I am so in love with the Aprilia Tuono 660. Love the twin spar frame and that engine. They sound amazing. I'm still bummed out for you. Oh, I just blasted past everybody. Yeah, I'm totally bummed out for Ryan. Can't believe he lost that bike. TM saying the easiest way to take weight off a bike is take it off a person. I lost weight one year and my bike was totally different, for sure. I'm actually, you know what's funny is I'm in the process of dropping weight right now. And it's funny because I can put on muscle mass very quickly. It's kind of weird. And so what I'm doing is doing a ton of cardio right now, trying to drop back down to like, I'd like to be at most 190 in gear. Right now I'm about 210 in gear. But the thing is, the more cardio I do, the bigger my legs get. So it's like, all right, that's cool. My dad had big old legs when he was doing competitive cycling. That's one of his older bikes back there. But very true. And it's better for you anyway. So, and it's easier to set up the suspension. So yes, lose weight is the easiest way. Ryan saying CF Moto price is great for their product. The quick shifter mold 675 SS. I missed that on the Gixxer. Very much so. Ryan saying 2 Ryans have B's head spinning. I know. Ryan, and Brian. Saying true. QJ has partnerships with MV Agusta and HD as well. Tell you what, QJ is making a hell of a machine. Ryan said, I've been eyeballing the 500 Vroom too. That's a cool looking bike. If you're not familiar with what he's talking about, the 500 Vroom, let me pull that up for you real quick, guys. It's kind of a cool looking bike. And it's one that for whatever reason just doesn't seem to get, you get this thing pulled up. It, for whatever reason, it should get more love than it gets. Check this out. So, oh wait, it's not me here. I have to cut this guy's head off here. There we go. Oh wait, you can see it. Okay. So 58 kilowatts, not a ton of power. But it's just a neat looking bike, and it'd make for the greatest city bike. So, I mean, what's not to love with this thing? Let me see something here. I'm trying to read it. Yeah, 49 Newton meters, 220 kilometer top speed. So it's not a speed demon, but it'll keep up with traffic and cruise around and look good. It's got the little winglets. Come on now. It's a neat looking bike, and neat looking bikes and fun bikes and things that are unique and a little bit eclectic. That's what it's all about for me. I love the theater of the motorcycle just as much as I love riding them. And for me, that means something. And look, there's a seat for every ass and ass for every seat. You could look at that and go, I don't like it. That's great. There are how many other options out there? But yeah, again, CF Moto, lots of good things coming from them. Right, so let's go back to skids. That's funny. Oh, Skid saying that Harley's going to introduce a new entry-level model called the Sprint for 2026, a callback to the Aramachi era Sprint models. So here's the thing. They've got to do something. I'm sorry, but Harley Davidson has absolutely lost the plot when it comes to what their mission statement needs to be. There is not anybody under the age of 35 or 40 that is actively wanting to go into a Harley Davidson dealership. It's like if they are in the dealership, it's because they rode there with their uncle or their dad or something like that because he had to get parts. They're just not going in there and buying anything. And look, they're feeling the pinch. I mean, Harley Davidson overseas is in a serious kind of way right now. So they've got to do something. And they've got such a heritage of cool bikes that they can fall back on to make too. It's driving me nuts. Skids is saying the 500 has those 90s Gixxer vibes. Yep. And yeah, right around 130 is what they're claiming. I mean, it might take it a hot minute to get from, 110 to 120 and then 120 to 130, but still. For Music's asking, do you think I'll get the 26 or 27 Gixxer Thal? I've kind of committed to getting one, but here's the thing. I've kind of committed to getting one, but I'm more possibly interested in looking at what Suzuki will do for the GSXR 750 in 2027. Kyler's saying he just bought a 26 750. Very awesome. I love it. The 26 750 is a beautiful bike. For Music saying he got the 25 left over on the 750. Very cool. Saying all the 25s were gone, unfortunately. I'll tell you what, my 25 is still sitting up at the dealership. I've even said, if I don't get the 26 and my 25 doesn't sell, that 25 may end up coming back into the shop. We'll see. And yes, congratulations. For me saying, rebuy your 25. What's funny is I was taking suspension measurements on it yesterday. So that one could possibly end up in the fleet. We'll see. Because I got to say, man, that I kind of miss that bike in a few ways. Although the 636 is doing really well to keep me from, shedding too many tears over it. But I will say this, once the 1000 is done and once the 636 is done, I am going to need a 750 in the fleet. And I was kind of hoping that I could find one, like kind of like the X-Star bike, kind of like a 2018, 2019, and pick that thing up and kind of do a restoration type build on it. Ryan's asking, McKenzie's asking, is it at Stubbs? Yes, it is at Stubbs. Collar's asking, do you have any commuter bikes? Skid said, come on. Well, kind of the Bonneville. But I will say this, again, I'd mentioned it earlier. Skid saying, come on down, McKenzie. One of the bikes that I, again, which would have actually, here's the funny thing, that V-Strom that I did the ride and review on, that bike damn near turned into a fair weather commuter for me. That's how much I liked it, because what I loved about the V-Strom is that it had the boxes on it and I could literally put briefcase stuff in there, the laptop and all of that. And I could use that to commute in and out of the city on nicer days where, I don't have to worry so much about traffic. I can come in and out of traffic pretty easily. And if I've got minor stuff to do for the office, I can get that done on that bike. And I mean, just keep up with maintenance and that thing is going to have the longevity of an old pickup truck. And it would kind of, in a way, be a bit in lockstep with, what I was seeing when I lived in Northern California, where everybody that was into motorcycles used adventure bikes, sport utility bikes, if you will, urban assault motorcycles. They used all of those bikes as their commuter type bike. So you'd see guys with their suit on, then they put their slicker over it and ride that thing into the city because you can't park a car in the city. So let me check back in with you guys. Ryan say, McKean say, that's an idea and the professor to sign it. I'll sign it. Actually, that bike may have my signature on the inner part of the fairing. I'll typically randomly sign different parts of my bikes and my cars, just so that if something ever happened, I could identify it. And it's sitting right up there. It's sitting right up front, along with Red Alert. It means more that way. A lot of other bikes. I tell you what, it's an awesome bike. I love it. It's only got 420 miles on it, if that. I think I've got more miles on the 636 than I put on the 750. Collar's asking, ever thought about an MT-09 or a Street Fighter? Sort of. We used to actually put Street Fighters together out of the track bikes and some of the street bikes that we used to wad up at the track and up in the mountains. So, that's always on the front of my mind. It's funny you mentioned the MT-09 though, because come Tuesday, I may be on a tuned and piped MT-09 as a ride and review bike. So we'll see. I just rode the XSR 900. I really liked that bike. Collar's saying would love to commute on one of those. They're a hell of a bike. A lot of the guys down here, a lot of the younger guys, you can't separate them from their MT-09s. Ryan saying, see, it's already broke in for me. Saying you put more miles in your 636 than I have on my 750, and you got the 636 slightly after. Yeah, I do a lot of riding. I tell you what, though, it's like what we were talking about before with that update video. I was riding that bike so much, trying to get the suspension sorted out. And, we've ran into an issue with the tires on that bike from the factory, those Pirelli Rosso 4s that it comes with. Some folks may have great experience with those tires. If you've got like a sport naked bike and you're not really hammering canyons or anything like that, more of a commuter style bike that you're having fun with, then they're great tires, I'm sure, for that. But you'll never see me running them on any of my bikes just because they were so, I don't know, kind of skittish. For music saying, I need to ride more, just starting my master's degree. Dude, you need some horsepower therapy is what you need, bro. Get out there and take that bike out on some pretty days. Get your master's in hauling ass. No, that's good, man. Keep up with the school stuff. It is very important. Let me check in with you guys. Make sure I'm not missing anybody. This has been a fun show tonight. So getting back to it, guys, I got to say, with all of these new manufacturers hitting the markets as they will, I am so happy to see the middleweight sport bike class coming back into fashion. We talked about the new homologation with QJ. There's going to be more to that to come, I'm sure, with some of these other manufacturers. We've got a lot of bikes that have been catching a lot of attention. The CF Moto 750 SS is a big one. The 675 has done exceptionally well. These are bikes that, the younger crowd are gravitating towards. It's great to see the younger group of guys and gals that are getting into sport bikes. And before anybody starts saying, well, it's not like what it used to be, they're not the monsters that they used to be. Well, we still have those, but it's also cool to see younger people enjoying themselves on bikes that, although they may not be the monsters that we grew up with, they're still awesome in their own right. And I think that the more you see them out and about, compliment these guys when you see them. Tell them, man, that's a nice bike. I like that. know the specs of some of these bikes as they're coming out. That's going to keep these newer riders around for a lifetime as opposed for a short amount of time, especially you get some of these guys that want to just kind of, put them down because it's not some kind of whatever it was back in the day kind of a thing. These newer bikes are a lot of fun and they're badass in their own ways and in ways that they're more powerful, more rowdy, monster-ish kind of bikes just can't be. Mackenzie saying the old lady's been hounding me to get another Scout. Already she misses it the most. God, the Scouts are nice. The infield. Oh, dude, listen. So that's another one. When are we going to get the 750 Conti, baby? Oh, it's driving me nuts. That I tell you what, that's one that I'm a little bit spooked about for it to hit the market because I'm afraid that I'm going to be like one of the first ones over it. There's a company in Houston, in Katy, Texas, called Iron Supply, and I'm just going to be like, guys, open the door. I need to give you money for one of these things. If I'm saying, can you say happy birthday to my son? He has autism, and his name is Dixon Mays. Dixon, happy birthday, buddy. Very happy birthday from B. Mason, from Moto Chat, and all of us. We say happy birthday to you, buddy. Thank you for hanging out with us. And Dad, thank you for hanging out with us too. See, it's the same. My son's birthday today as well. He too has autism. Happy birthday to your son. Have fun. Happy birthday. I have a nephew with autism, and my wife works with autistic kids. So, yes, we have a lot of understanding and experience and understand what you dads are going through. So, yes, very happy birthday to all of you. And if you're watching this, happy birthday to you too. Him saying, happy birthday, kids. Reckless is in saying, I want my 2001 CBR 600 F4i. Yes. Okay, so let me finish it. 110 horsepower. Yes, comfy around town, tourable, and fun on the track. With the revs around 12,000. Dude, I tell you what, I had more fun on a freaking F4i. I mean, holy shit. Okay, so a buddy of mine had one, and I was used to riding a 600F, which is the old Hurricane. And he got the F4i, and he was trying to learn how to wheelie this thing. And I was like, dude, it's easy. And so I was wheeling the F4i, and I was like, you just do this. And you just, it's that bike. It was so silly to ride. But, dude, F4is, we need more F4is in the world. Those are just such neat bikes. Skid saying, appreciate it, B. Thank you, buddy. For me, saying, keep the videos coming soon. There's got to be a jump in subscribers coming. I tell you what, we've been stacking the subscribers, guys. I mean, it's been a lot of fun interacting with a bunch of new folks. I'm able to interact with folks from all over the globe now since I'm doing more motorcycle stuff. So I'm loving it. But thank you very much. Skid saying, keep grinding, B. I haven't stopped. Got the flex. No, we ain't stopping around here, guys. The cool thing is that we do have a couple of projects in the works, and I'm looking forward to bringing you guys that. Again, what is the date today? Today is the 6th of September. We're hoping to have the GSX-R 1000 should be in next week, but I'm probably going to say the week of the 15th. That exhaust should show up. That's why I've got to start taking them apart. I've got to spend some time with both of them tomorrow. And that's going to be about the extent of me being able to get the bikes on the road, because concurrently, both of them are going to start getting torn apart. I've got to get the 636. I've got to get the Velocity. Oh, if you haven't seen it, hang on. So we have, if you haven't seen the update video, the mailman has got us hooked up. Hang on just a second, guys. So we have, because we've got the exhaust coming for the 636. This is not what you think it is. This is an exhaust gasket for the 636. So we've got that ready to go. And then it won't fit. Then we have the velocity stacks for the 636. These are going to be the two-wheel Dyno Works. If y'all can see that, two-wheel Dyno Works TST velocity stacks. These are made out of the same material that the factory velocity stacks are made out of, and they're molded rubber, and they're kind of in a unique shape. But the tuners that I talked to, I even talked to Chris Moore at More Mafia, was saying, go with these. These are the ones you want to go with for the 636. So on to the 636 they shall go. And I got to tell you, it's kind of interesting. The 636 with this kit, the full exhaust and everything else, it's so close to the GSX-R 750 in terms of just acceleration, especially from a roll. Even when the GSX-R 750 is fully kitted out, the 636, they're literally side by side. There's not, you'll get a little bit of the speed racer thing going, but that's it. They're identical in terms of how they get down the road. So, oh, let me get back up here. Right. McKinney saying we need more Scrambler or Cafe Racer. Man, they're so neat. True that. Big Street's asking, do I like scooters? Love scooters. I'm kind of a sucker for scooters in a way. McKinney saying, Brian, B needs a Continental with a big bore kit. Oh, dude, I'd be stupid. Okay. Let me see if I can find the Royal Enfield 750. Hold on just a second. RYALENFELD 750. Let's see if we can find this bad boy. Has it been officially released yet? I don't think it has. Well, they've spied it. We'll pull the Reddit, and that's not going to do us any good. All right, hang on. Let's see if we can find this. This is driving me nuts. Anyway, if you haven't seen it, and I can't really find a good rendering of it either. Anyway, it's a fully faired Continental GT, which in essence is the 650 motor with a big bore kit. And I don't have any good shots of it. Anyway, it is a really neat bike. And yes, when I rode the Continental, that's another bike that damn near came home with me when I did the ride and review of the Continental GT. Oh, Skids. The new Suzuki GSX 8TT coming soon. Iron Supply has one, and I'm needing to go out there and take a look at it this week. May not be able to ride it, but I'm going to try to get some pics of it. DM saying Vespa, Lambretta, Honda, Ruckus. Heck yeah, dude. Ruckus is the shit, man. I'm sorry. I love the Ruckus. Another bike that I love is the Dax. It's not really a scooter. It's a mini moto, but yeah, love the Vespas. Anything, the Hondas for sure. Scooters are fun. Anything on two wheels I like. It doesn't matter with Trail 125. Yes, absolutely. I'll ride that thing around too. So McKenzie's talking about the GSX 8 TT. I tell you what, the only thing that I don't necessarily get all worked up about the TT is that it looks really good, but could you imagine that bike with the kind of power of an MT-09 / XSR 900? That's really where that bike should be. But for the kind of power or for the kind of riding you're going to do, it's got really good power. And that 776 has got a ton of mid-range torque. Skid saying, love me some scooter, not ashamed to admit it. I'll rock a scooter everywhere, man. I think they're great. DM saying, well, Zerby, it's nice to see the new names in the chat. Yes, I agree. For Music's asking, did I used to live in NorCal? Yes, I lived in San Bruno, just south of San Francisco. About 4 years. Loved it. Miss it very much. I miss Skyline, a.k.a. 84. Miss the Alice's run. Miss Pacifica, PCH, running down to Sano, hitting up Santa Cruz, all of that, man. I miss all that stuff. Smelly Rod saying, are dirt bikes the most affordable motorcycle out there? Not really. Depends on what you're using it for, but I would say one of the entry-level cruiser type bikes would be the least expensive. For me to say, not motocross bikes. No, definitely not a motocross bike. Definitely not. But, well, with that, guys, we're coming up on about an hour and a half. I am going to need to start looking to check out here real soon. Everyone, just in case, I want to make sure I'm not missing anybody in the live feed. Let's see. Oh. And again, Dixon, happy birthday, buddy. Skids, happy birthday to your son as well. Make sure I get those double up on my happy birthdays. Maybe you'll have an even happier birthday if I say it twice. Mackenzie's asking, what's your dream bike? The Halo bike for me. Oh, man. Okay. That's kind of a tough one because like you would almost have to split it up between like eras, right? So Halo bike for me would be one like my dad's bike, 1974 Z1, the 900. That would be one to have just because it's a hell of a cool bike. So from the early era, that bike. From the, let's say, the mid 80s to the early 90s, it's hard to argue against a Gen 1 GSXR 750 because it was such a pivotable. What the hell does that even mean? A pivotal bike. Pivot. You know what? But it's able to be pivotable, so it's pivotable. It's pivotable. It's a pivotable bike. Anyway, that one, because it is whatever it is, but I'd also have to mix in there the VMAX because it was also pivotable in its own way, right? From there, 60th anniversary R1 would be up there for sure. My X-Star bike, I've kind of got that bike. That is another one for the modern era. And probably after that, a 765 Daytona, not the 675, not to be confused, but it's the Moto 2 bike. That one kind of falls in there for middleweights as well. I don't really, like I say, I don't really have a Halo bike, but I will tell you one that I kind of wished I would have bought at one point. About once a year, about 2 or 3 times a year, I go looking for one and I find them and I never buy them. There's 2 bikes in this category. One is a bike I've already had, which is my RC51. That's one that I would really like to have back. But to go along with it, the Tri-9 Ducati. I don't know what it is about that bike. There was a guy that I used to ride. Didn't ride with him. We would just run into each other. And whenever we saw each other, the first time I ever saw him, he buzzed me on Skyline. And then ever since then, however it would work out, we would end up riding together for a little bit and split off. But he had a Tri-9, and I loved that bike. And I've had multiple opportunities to buy one, but I never really did. So there's that. And then that little fetish morphed into the 1098, which morphed into the 1198. So if you see a pattern here, the L-twin Ducatis would be the way that I would probably go. Not necessarily the V4 bikes, although they may make more power. Again, this isn't a power play. This is a motorcycle play. And for me, probably a 1098 or 1198 would be right up there. But so it's hard to say. Like, I can't really lock in on like one specific bike. I'll tell you what, if I were to lock in on one specific bike, it'd be the 1198. And I would just say domino on the Ducati. That's where I would be. Except I really like the Aprilia RSV4. Now, let's stick with the duck just because it's a duck. Somebody Ron's going, will you be the Rock stunt double when it comes to riding bikes in movies because the Rock can't ride motorcycles? Sure. Do all kinds of fun stuff. Four Music's going, oh, the VMAX. Yeah. DM's checking out. Thank you so much, DM. I do appreciate you. Thank you, buddy. And guys, with that, we're at an hour and a half. I've got to get back to work. Hey, listen, guys, get out there and do something cool for somebody. Chances are they need it way more than you know. And hey, if you made it this long into a live show, man, you're already a vet. Go ahead and consider smashing that subscribe button. It means more to the channel than you know. Looking forward to bring you guys some updates on the 636 and the Gixxer Thal really soon. Looking forward to riding reviews on the Yamaha MT-09 that's up there at the shop right now. May throw in a couple of adventure bikes as well. So stay tuned for that, guys. But with that, I'm going to wrap it up. Y'all take it easy. Have a great one.